Well, I posted on the HIMYM Superfans Facebook page that the entire cast and crew of the HIMYM Superfans podcast, the entire cast and crew, all 2.5 of us.
Right, yeah. 2.5 might even be a stretch.
We went to a wedding, a remote wedding at a hotel this weekend, and I was telling the guys that I'm going to take the train home. Turns out there is no train home in central Illinois.
Yeah, I bet that was a long walk.
I had to actually ride to St. Louis and then to New Orleans and then back up to the Illinois terminal.
Right, yeah, I know you can get here from New Orleans, yeah.
It was 73 hours.
You could have just waited around and asked for a ride.
Well, but I did meet Tracy.
Oh, okay. Where was she?
She's 43. She's been through a lot. She's got a couple of kids. Really doing well with the clean and sober thing now. The wedding.
Did you hit it off with Tracy?
Oh, I hit it all right.
Because her name was Tracy?
I gotta keep trying. That's Ted's lesson for the series. That's my lesson for life. That's my life lesson. Keep trying, even when you think it's a bad idea.
I think keep trying is a good life lesson. I'm not sure that that's the point of HIMYM.
This is HIMYM Superfans. Hey there, Chris Venezia.
Hello, James Hamilton.
This is the show where we make fun of the CBS comedy How I Met Your Mother.
Are we going to ruin the show this week? Actually, I haven't decided.
I'm going to ruin this chair.
But I like that chair.
I'm sorry, you might not want it back.
All right, I'll spray it down.
Of course, we are going to ruin plot points for the entire series, just like I'm going to ruin this chair.
Yes. Well, what did that chair ever do to you? All right, so even though we're only doing the first season at this point, we will have spoilers for the rest of the show. So if you don't want to know that Todd and Valerie, from this episode forward, are secretly in every other episode of the series, then maybe come back to this podcast once you've watched the whole series.
So this episode is Best Prom Ever, a.k.a. Are We Sure Robin's Not a Lesbian? ?
That kid thought she was.
Yeah. Question mark is actually spelled out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, it's not actually like the symbol.
Right. So this is episode 20 of the first season, near the end. Aired May 1st, 2006. Was written by Ira Ungerletter, who is, a little note about this guy, co-executive producer of the first season of How I Met Your Mother. And if you look at his IMDb, he's got like 28 episodes of Friends and like dozens of other shows that he's been involved with. So he's like the studio guy. He just hangs out at the studio, and when there's a TV show happening, he just goes over there and they make him start doing stuff.
So yeah, starts writing episodes for them?
Yeah, he just shows up, and there, you got your Ira.
Yeah.
Of course, this episode, Chris, is directed by Pam. Thanks, Ira. That's all we need you for, Fryman. Because This is Ira's last episode.
Wah, wah, wah.
So, you remember what happens in this one, Chris?
I remember what happened before it. Robin is still mad at Ted about lying to her. Lily and Marshall are engaged, but their wedding is a little ways down the road.
Yeah. Yeah, so nothing really happens in this episode. I mean, the gang goes to a high school prom to listen to the 88. That's what happens.
So they address Lily's cold feet.
We do.
They address that, and Robin starts to warm up to Ted again.
Yeah.
Those are like the two things, and arguably neither of those things actually even happen. Like Lily doesn't get cold feet in this episode. We get to start seeing, and like Robin doesn't forgive Ted in this episode. We get the beginning part of it.
But this episode isn't particularly memorable to me because it doesn't feel like a lot happens, because we've had so many episodes with these great monologues, these great face acting moments, these great storylines, and this one just doesn't really deliver on any of that.
I agree. This one was not that memorable to me when we rewatched it so that we could do the episode. I was like, oh, right, this and that, and Scooter's in there, and the Kurt Cobain reference and all that. Barney dressed as a turtle and trying to break in a bunch of different ways. That was memorable.
Yeah.
I did remember that.
At least we can depend on Barney for some hijinks.
Right. But otherwise, yeah, like I said, Ted and Robin get a little bit closer and we get a little feel for Lily's cold feet. But otherwise, the episode is not that memorable. We're sort of getting little more story-driven. It's not really content-heavy, but like story momentum episodes. Like, because even the next one, Milk, not much happens in that one either.
No.
It's all set up for the big season finale.
Yes.
Where, where Lily dies.
Yes. She drowns in the freak rainstorm. Let's get into it. After the intro credits, future Ted tells his kids that 8 months into Marshall and Lily's engagement, they got a call from the Van Smoot house. Van Smoot, Chris.
Van Smoot.
And they have to move their wedding up from 8 months to 2 months away.
Not to get ahead of ourselves, but the added pressure of having the wedding be one date and then changing everything to meet an earlier deadline could have contributed to Lily's, what I'm going to call mental breakdown.
Yeah. And not to mention that at 8 months out of the wedding, they might not have sent out invitations, but definitely would have sent out, save the date cards and started telling people.
Right.
So if they've already sent out invitations, then they've got to tell all these people to change your travel plans, which would be a major pain in the ass.
Yes.
Not a small change to move your wedding up.
No, it's a pretty big deal, and that's why I think it contributes. I wonder what would have been. I mean, this is what happened, so this is what happened.
Right.
But I wonder how things could have been if they hadn't done this.
Yeah.
Would Lily have not quite as snapped and moved to San Francisco after she died?
Yeah. Yes, after she died. So if they want to reserve the Van Smoot house, they have to go down there in person, both of them.
Yes.
For some reason.
Yes.
To make a deposit.
That makes no sense, but thankfully it leads to some fun physical comedy.
Yeah, we do get another How I Met Your Mother race through the streets of New York, this time with Todd and Valerie as the nemesis couple, as they literally race to the Van Smoot house.
Right, and like you said, despite our initial joke in the episode, and we never heard of them again.
Right. Lily is so desperate for the Van Smoot house that she abandons her 5-year-olds in her classroom. Kids, color! And she just runs away.
Yep. I think that's funny.
Yeah.
I don't think you can do that.
No.
I think that is really funny, especially since we're like 30 seconds, maybe a minute into this episode, and she's going to abandon the kids.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
They get to what we can assume is the Van Smoot leasing office.
Yes. That I also had some question marks about that, but that's pretty much what I'm going to have to go with. This is the building that you go to to rent the Van Smoot house. Yes. I don't think it is the Van Smoot house. No,
this is where the Van Smoots hired a whole nother office to manage the wedding bookings for the Van Smoot house.
Yep.
Lily, a lifelong New Yorker, knows this little trick. One of them says stairs. She nods to Marshall. Marshall runs out, and Lily hits all the buttons on the elevator and runs out just as the doors close, trapping Todd and Valerie in there.
Yeah, so even if they make it up to the next floor and the doors open and then they can run to the stairs, there's no way. It's too late.
It's too late.
But, I'm glad you pointed out that Lily's the one that pushes the buttons, because I saw this, I was like, how did they pull that off? Because, I can't imagine that this is something that they had discussed before.
No.
But, no, it's probably something that Lily's seen someone else do, being a lifelong New Yorker, so I like that. So after they book the Van Smoot house, Marshall and Lily meet the rest of the gang at McLaren's to talk about the Van Smoot house.
Mm-hmm. And this is where we get to see that Robin and Ted, they're sitting together, but the last we saw, Ted was heading up to have sex with a prostitute, and Robin was going home with Sandy Rivers from each other's perspective.
Right.
And as the audience, we know neither one of them got laid that night, but this is their first time seeing them together since that night. Things are still a little frosty.
Yeah, it's implied that they don't hang out alone together, which is made apparent when Lily accidentally asks the two of them to go to the florist for something.
Yeah.
She quickly changes her request when she sees their faces, and it seems like they're okay hanging out in the group still, but just don't hang out one-on-one. But then later on in the episode, Robin makes it obvious that she doesn't want Ted to go to the prom.
Yeah.
Even the group stuff makes her uncomfortable.
And this makes it really uncomfortable and awkward as Barney comments on how awkward it is, and then pauses, and then comments how it's still awkward.
Yes. That seems like something that you would do. That seems like a Jamesism.
Yeah, maybe. Definitely. Absolutely.
Lily tells Barney that his only job at the wedding is to not sleep with anyone remotely related to her, and he will not promise that.
Can't rule that out. So later on, Ted and Marshall come home with the invitations to find Lily asleep hunched over the coffee table.
So Lily hears them and wakes up and freaks out about not having a band.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing out of her mouth. I think that was the last thing she was thinking when she fell asleep.
Well, maybe she was dreaming about the band, but I have to believe she was thinking about whether or not she still has a job for abandoning those 5-year-olds.
She probably should be thinking about that.
Marshall has the solution. He booked the band. It's called the 88. Marshall loves them, but didn't talk to his bride about it.
He called them. He didn't book them yet. But he's trying to calm her down. We don't have to worry about the band. I booked the 88. Lily doesn't know anything about them, and I don't blame her. I'd not heard of them either.
Well, they're really big in Minnesota.
Oh, well, I suppose that would make sense.
Yeah. This is where Lily says, I'm not going to have a wedding for 200 people and not hear the band. So this is the first time we're learning they're having a big wedding.
Right, and that's my opinion on this, is that, I have a strong opinion about the number of wedding guests and how big that makes one's wedding. 50 is a small wedding.
Yeah.
100 is an average-sized wedding, and anything over 150 is a big wedding. But I'm also the one that said that Claudia and Stewart's $400,000 wedding was too expensive. Maybe, I don't know, did they invite over 500 people or something?
They must have booked 2 Van Smoots.
2 Van Smoot houses adjacent to each other.
Mm-hmm. If 200 does sound like a lot. How many people do Lily and Marshall know? Everyone they hang out with is in one room.
Yes, everyone they hang out with is in one room, but we saw in the Purple Giraffe that they know 50 people that they don't hang out with.
Carlos is going to be there.
Yeah, Carlos is going to be at the wedding.
Works with Carlos girl's going to be there.
Todd and Valerie, although they're
probably
the same
invited.
Dates. Yeah, they're invited. They're not going to go. They're going to decline.
Yeah.
Maybe their wedding is the same day.
Barney's masseuse, you only saw her feet. She's invited.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Nirvana. That's her name.
Yes.
Nirvana. Yes. Okay, so speaking of Barney, he shows up and he makes a joke about tasting the caterer. I think that this is a Cunnilingus joke.
I don't know what that is.
He could have tasted her lips, but my question is which?
Salty dog. So not like you.
Nope.
So the 88's website says that they're playing at a prom in New Jersey tomorrow. Should their website say that? Why in the world when they advertise, we're doing the High Dive, the Elixir Extreme, Allstate Arena, Jefferson Middle School.
Right. Yeah, that seems pretty inappropriate.
Yeah.
Maybe if you called their manager, you could get a response from a human being no, they're too busy tomorrow to play for you because they'll be playing at a prom. Mm-hmm. And then maybe even followed up by oops, I shouldn't have said that, right. Kind of thing. But no, I wouldn't think that information would be freely available on the website.
Doesn't make any sense, but, maybe Marshall's on a special, the 88 newsletter that has all the details.
No, it could be. Yeah, newsletter. So
back at the bar, Lily has assembled the gang and informed them of the plan to crash the prom.
So we find out that Robin did not go to her prom because of field hockey nationals in the spring.
So Barney says lesbian and then feigns a cough afterwards. It seems intentionally done incorrectly, which he follows up by saying that he's trying to start a thing where the cough is separate.
That actually is a thing.
Yeah.
Barney says that he and Robin and Lily could all pass as high schoolers. But yeah, Ted suggests that they all go, and this is where Robin makes it clear that she does not want Ted to go.
Yeah, so Ted changes his tune and asks Marshall to a guy's night out. A steak night.
Yes, there should be a steak night. Different than steak sauce. I can't even believe... Now it's stuck in my head. I don't want it to be in there. Steak sauce is in my head. It's haunting me. All right, yeah, steak night a la Scrubs.
Yes.
There's a whole song about it for you Scrubs fans. All right, so Ted and Marshall have this extremely dorky exchange. And then Barney mocks them, and they look a little resigned, oh, yeah, you're right, that was pretty, that was lame. But I love the next part, because Barney says, no, but leave me a message and we'll meet up later. He's all about poking fun at them, but he's got this, sense of desperation to not be excluded from guys' night.
Yeah, he definitely has to be part of the group. He has to get the invitations so that he could turn it down.
Yeah, he may not even go if it turns out that their thing is my gosh, if it was the stuffing invitations, he wouldn't have been there.
Oh, no.
Robin and Lily try on dresses for prom, and Barney says that they look horrible. Lily says sarcastically that he'll make such a good dad. And it turns out that Barney does make a pretty good dad. And I wonder if this is some foreshadowing or if they hadn't thought of that yet. I don't really know.
That would be a pretty impressive setup for a joke 9 seasons later.
I don't mean necessarily that. Yeah, okay, that is pretty much what I meant. But but I mean, like, I'm wondering, like, the question, I'll rephrase it, is like, I wonder if Baze and Thomas were planning on giving Barney a kid in the series finale before they started working on the pilot, or at least by episode 2, or let's at least say before this episode.
That's one of those things I've always wondered, like, how much influence did Neil have over the path of Barney? Like, it does make sense, knowing what we know about Neil and his children and being a very happy father, that he would want to influence Barney to have kids, but that could just be a coincidence.
It could be. I'd probably have to do some digging. I don't know. If an audience member has more information on that, definitely post it on our Facebook page.
Yeah, Neil just tweeted at us.
Right, Neil, tweet at us.
We know you listen.
Return my tweet.
So Barney clarifies, "You look so classy and nice. You have to look slutty for prom now."
Yeah, it's true. And I don't know if they weren't slutty enough. It didn't really... Actually, their second dresses didn't look slutty, really, to me, either. I don't think the prom dresses really look like what they ended up wearing anymore. Like, I have, like, friends who have kids in the prom area. Like, the dresses didn't look anything like what they ended up with. And, like, all the prom dresses that I've seen lately are super, super shiny.
Yeah. In my prom days, the prom dresses were, like, super poofy, like, big things over the ladies' arms that came out, and just a lot of material, a lot of volume.
Yeah, Jinko jeans also used to be popular when we were in high school.
So listeners, tell us what your prom dress looked like.
I miss my Jinkos.
Or better yet, upload one to the Facebook page.
Hey, my birthday's coming up, fans. Give me some Jinkos.
Yes.
I think they started making them again. Barney tells them to
Slut up!
While it does not sound that similar to me to suit up, it is only one letter off from suit up. So, like, when written out, it made more sense to me than, like, actually hearing it.
As Lily's going through her closet, she finds one of her actual prom dresses that she kept and brought to Marshall's apartment for some reason.
What are you going to do, throw it away?
This causes her to have a little bit of a flashback to her prom with Scooter.
Yeah, this is the first impression I get of Lily having cold feet. You might argue, and I'll give you your chance here in a moment. But this is the first impression I really get of her having cold feet. I'm wondering if she isn't having some sort of psychological reaction where things being too planned out with Marshall reminds her of things being too planned out with Scooter. Mm-hmm. And it just happens to be really bad timing that they're pushing up the wedding and just happen to be going to a prom that draws up those feelings. I mean, this is my amateur psychologist stuff here, but like she's going to a prom that brings up old prom feelings of being pressured to settle down.
They actually do show that in the latter part of the episode where she's literally flashing back to prom while she's at prom.
Right.
And if you think about it, they are 2 moments in her life where she had to make some significant life changes that change from high school to college, where if you're a high school student like I was, there was a lot of pressure. Like, college is important. You have to decide how your career and your life and your path is going to go. Right now, 18-year-old boy.
Yeah. Who can do that?
Yeah. That was definitely a moment for her where she wanted to change her life. She wanted to have these abroad experiences, these lesbian experiences, this independence experience. And here it is 10 years later, she's about to make another huge decision.
They do end up picking out some dresses, and Barney gives them corsages, and Robin starts tearing up.
Yeah, I like that, because it does seem like another allusion to Robin not getting to have a feminine childhood because of her dad treating her like a boy.
And it's still pretty sweet when Barney gets the door for her. It's subtle and probably not that important, and it's probably not foreshadowing. But it was interesting having watched the whole series. Like, it's this like little sweet moment between Barney and Robin.
The sweetness is broken when Marshall calls them skanks.
So apparently Ted and Marshall have a start the night with a shot of Jim Beam tradition.
Never seen or heard before or since.
Yep, that's true.
I guess Jim Beam bought sponsorship that episode. They never mentioned liquor, real liquor.
That's true. Yeah, most of it's fake. What is it, Glenn McKenna?
Yeah. or the Minnesota tidal wave.
You mean the Robin Scherbatsky?
Right.
So Marshall tries to trick Ted into stuffing 200 envelopes.
You wrote here that you didn't think this would take very long with two of them working on it. I mean, tell me about stuffing envelopes for your job. It doesn't seem like it would take that long.
No, I mean, it's not the most fun thing, but yeah, like occasionally I have to stuff envelopes at my job. Mother Fan Dan probably would have more information on that, because I think he has a machine to stuff envelopes at his job. But yeah, occasionally I have to stuff envelopes. You'd be done in like 15 minutes, I would think, and then you're done.
Yeah.
And you've already got that beam in you.
Yeah.
You just go down to McLaren's, start talking to some people, have yourself a good night. But no, we're getting ahead of ourselves. But when they cut back to them later, it just looks sad. Like they're doing it all slow, and like Ted's like almost angry about it.
So Lily says they'll just sneak into the prom, like she snuck into clubs when she was 17.
Yeah, I call shenanigans on that.
Shenanigans?
Lily did not sneak into clubs when she was 17. Like, they've already said that she has statutory written all over her face, which I'm not sure is actually a funny joke. I don't know that that's like a funny ha-ha joke. If she looks young in her mid-20s, and they're thinking that she can pass the 17, what did she look like when she was 17? I mean, I guess we go back and see it. Yeah. She's got the long bangs and the black hair. She does look really young. They do a really good job of making her look like a child.
Yeah.
Which is sort of creepy, but whatever.
Yeah.
But no, she was not sneaking into clubs when she was 17. I just call shenanigans.
So her plan is to just walk in with confidence. So she's like, yeah, let's go to prom. Woohoo! Woohoo, everybody! Woohoo!
Yeah, it's terrible. We don't know if the guy at the door is like the principal, a teacher, or some like official chaperone. But he can tell right away that they are in their 20s.
Yeah, you're adults.
Yeah. So Lily tells him that she just needs to see the band because she wants to book them, and her wedding is 2 months away.
The doorman, who actually is the writer of this episode, Ira Ungerlacher.
Ira's last day?
So the doorman asks why she's booking a band when the wedding is only 2 months away, and Lily lunges at him.
Yeah, she's gonna choke him.
I like that.
And Barney has to restrain her. And I do wonder, do you think he copped a feel? Like when he was, pulling her back?
That would have been his best opportunity.
So Robin, because she doesn't seem to be interested in Barney's crossbow idea, I would have liked to have seen that.
Yeah.
She asks two guys who appear to be very nerdy if they want dates to the prom.
So another joke about Robin being a prostitute.
Yes, it's the second one this season. I actually also want to throw out here that the guys in this episode are credited as schlubs. I just want to throw that out there.
Schlubs.
I saw that on the credits after the episode.
Real nice.
Yeah, one of them has a name, like Andrew, which I'm gonna reference him as Andrew later on in our podcast. But I'm pretty sure the credit said schlub when it rolled across my screen.
They're not very nice to nerds in the show. There's the nerds outside the nightclub that they made fun of. One of which was a actual nerd from Freaks and Geeks. There was the nerd in the Klingon restaurant.
Well, who also calls her a prostitute.
Who's also in Freaks and Geeks.
Right.
And then these two guys. And Robin later makes fun of them for being nerds who are bad at math.
Yeah, but she's right. Yeah. And the one of them, Andrew, is like, yeah, you're right. Our life is going to be hard.
Yeah. So with the new dates, the ladies just stroll on in. And Barney's left out in the cold to formulate a plan on sneaking in.
Yeah, I just want to throw out there real quick. I mean, the two security guards and Ira, the principal, janitor, teacher guy, who's the bouncer, he's totally okay with them being in there, the 27-year-olds, as long as they go in with a child.
Yes, perfectly fine.
Or at least a minor, somebody underage. All right, so the band takes a break as soon as the ladies get inside because the plot.
Mm-hmm. And the skinny schlub offers Robin a drink from his flask. She agrees, takes a swig, and turns out it's cough medicine.
Yeah, and this is where we get the bad at math thing. Yeah. Nerds who are bad at math, because apparently their fake IDs that they bought only say that they're 20. And probably don't say McLovin on them.
Hope it doesn't say schlub.
Yes, it says schlub 1, and I'm 20 years old. And I guess they could wait another 1 to 365 days, and then the ID will start to work.
Yeah.
I feel bad for them right now in the episode, but far less so later on in the episode when the chubby one breaks out the nunchucks.
Nunchucko!
So we'll get to that.
So Lily walks up to this lead singer who looks like a reincarnation of Rivers Como. Look it up.
Yeah, so like, did you write a pause for laughter in there?
So she walks up to him and said, "Can you play Good Feeling by the Violent Femmes?" He said, "I'm so wasted. I will play whatever sheet music you put in front of me."
Yeah, which is funny. Like, I think that's probably what they were going to do anyway. Like,
Yeah.
they just have the sheet music, or maybe just jam
They're
for like 2 hours.
They're so bummed about not getting the Staples Center.
Yeah. Right. Well, right. They have to do this prom. Like, this is a gig for money, not for fun.
Yeah.
Marshall and Ted are still stuffing the invites. This is where we get to see, Ted looking kind of bummed that they haven't gone out and done anything interesting yet. And yeah, they're still stuffing the invites because they're terrible at it.
Yeah,
and
because neither
good.
one of them ever worked in an office.
Right.
I would have had that done in an hour.
So Ted is not pleased with Guy's night. He wants to get in a fight for some reason. I guess that's his solution. You get that beam in Ted, and he just wants to get all rowdy.
Yeah.
Marshall says he would definitely have Ted's back, but implies that he would not need Ted's help. So Ted wanting to help is like moot to him. It's like a non-thing.
Right.
We do find out later that Ted is not much of a fighter. He does claim to be good at kicking, but we never really get to see that. Marshall's the fighter of the group.
Yeah, and this becomes the only character trait for Ted in this episode is he's self-conscious that Marshall doesn't think he's a good fighter.
It is at least a little funny.
About then, Robin calls Marshall and says, "Could you please bring the sheet music for this Violent Femme song?" And he says, "Sure, can Ted come too?"
He has to ask.
Yeah.
I mean, it's actually, unfortunately, a reasonable question.
Yeah.
A couple months ago, it would have been like, okay, Ted and I'll be right there. No problem. But Robin does take this opportunity to tell Marshall and the audience that Ted lied about breaking up with Victoria to hook up with her, Robin, who's telling the story. The audience does not need this information any more than Marshall does, but it is funny because it gives Barney an opportunity in the background while she's talking to break in through a vent in the wall and have the audience's focus be on him.
Right.
They don't even need to be paying attention to what Robin's saying. They know they have this information.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. That line was for the people watching it for the first time in 2006.
Right, yeah.
So while Barney is getting forcibly removed by the security guards, Robin tells Marshall that she does not want Ted to be there.
So Lily has another flashback here to her original prom. We talked about this one. Her original prom with Scooter. She feels like things are moving too fast. It's more of the, I don't want my whole life planned out right now thing.
Turns out Lily broke up with Scooter at the prom, and she wants to have a lesbian relationship.
Mm-hmm. So she dumps on her date, Andrew, that she's dancing with, and does like this transference thing. Again, here's my amateur psychologist stuff. I don't even know if that's the right term. She feels like she didn't accomplish anything, which we'll come back to that. I feel like she did accomplish quite a few things. But she didn't feel like she accomplished anything that she wanted to do after high school. So she tells Andrew that he won't accomplish anything that he plans to do after high school.
His plans sound pretty awesome.
Yeah, and he could do it.
Yeah, start his own video game company. It's even easier now.
Yes, I guess that it's only gotten easier to do something that will make, some money.
He may never make any money, but he can do it.
Well, that's true. I suppose he could make video games.
Yeah, it's like
make money.
Like making a podcast.
Yeah, like a podcast.
He would never get paid.
All right, so it's time again for Barney's crazy costume.
Yay!
So this time he buys, I guess he bought it. I would have assumed he rented it or planned on giving it back, but maybe he's planning on keeping it since he gave the guy $200.
Useful later.
That's true. But he buys the school's turtle mascot suit from the janitor for $200. We do find out later that it cost $5,000, so he got a really good deal on it.
And that janitor got fired.
Yeah, I bet he did.
Marshall and Ted have a much better idea about sneaking into the prom. They walk in a different door.
Yeah, like professionals at sneaking in or something.
Yeah.
We do get some pretty amusing turtle jokes in this episode, though. Like the slow and steady wins the race and getting in the building.
Yeah.
He's pretty fast for a turtle, and that's it.
Yeah. So Marshall's going around trying to find who he needs to give this sheet music to. He finds Andrew, and he says, "Hey, Andrew, you seen my fiance?" And that's when they started getting a little bit of a tussle, a little bit of a fight.
Yeah, Andrew pushes him.
Yeah.
Gives him a real good shove.
Marshall's the bigger man. He doesn't engage until the nunchaku.
Marshall doesn't engage at all.
That's right.
He gets hit by the nunchucks, and then Ted tackles the guy.
Then Ted flies in from off screen.
So in the bathroom, while Ted and Marshall and Barney are being, again, forcibly removed from the prom, or at least Ted and Marshall for the first time, Barney for probably the third or fourth.
Yeah.
We cut to the bathroom where we find out that Lily is having second thoughts about getting married. She says, and I think this is really important, that she's having second thoughts about getting married, not about Marshall. Like, she doesn't have second thoughts about Marshall.
Mm-hmm.
He's not the issue. The issue is with herself. And cheesy as it might sound, is actually like a literal, it's not you, it's me kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't accomplish stuff, so I can't get married. She doesn't want to get tied down because she didn't do many of the things that she wanted to do after college, like I was saying. She did some of them, and she's having a difficult time focusing on what she has done. But there are some things that she hasn't.
In a flashback to their freshman year at Wesleyan, Lily's fixing the stereo, talking to someone off screen, and we find out that it's Marshall. And she's telling him about all these things she wants to do. Live in France, which she does get to do briefly in college, and she lives with Michelle. And then she also wants to live in Italy and Spain. Later, she shows up in Rome. Italy, so.
I mean, so she does make it to Italy eventually, and she doesn't need to be single to do it. Like, she goes with her husband and their 2 kids.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, she can pull that off without having to do, like, a runaway bride kind of thing. She doesn't make it to Spain. I do actually find that interesting. It is at least a little interesting to me that is actually the place that she was going to run to in a later episode. So that she was actually going to leave Marshall to move to Spain, but changes her mind. That's the one that she doesn't get to go to, as far as we know.
Yeah. I'm glad they did that. That's too much of a coincidence.
I agree.
Yeah.
I've said some other things in here, like, is this foreshadowing? It's like, so they didn't know that they were going to do, the Spain thing later, probably at this point, but later when they wrote that episode, I'm sure is a reference to this.
So, turns out Lily fixed the stereo in this version of the story. We were talking about this earlier. This How They Met story has, like, at least 3 different versions, right?
Right. Yeah, it does. Like, sometimes Marshall fixes the stereo, sometimes Lily fixes it. Ted wasn't there, which, I mean, is kind of their thing in the show, that, like, if Ted's not there, those moments are sometimes less clear on what actually happened.
Yeah.
And it's more of, like, his impression of what he thinks was going on in those scenes. But, yeah, like, this one, we don't really know what happened in that room. The stereo gets fixed, and Lily and Marshall started seeing each other pretty much from that day forward.
Right, yeah. So the music that comes on the stereo is Good Feeling by the Violent Femmes, same song that Marshall was looking for.
So more of these things where, like, she's having, like, flashback moments to the song, their song. Her song with Marshall is a song that reminds her of a day where she was dead set on not dating, being single, and making sure that her dreams were realized. This song that they're dancing to takes her back to that day. It's not very good timing for their relationship.
So back in the bathroom, Robin encourages Lily to move forward and get married. She tells Lily that she can still travel and paint, and then Lily gives her a nice big old wet kiss on the lips. Give her that lesbo experience she always wanted.
Mm-hmm. It wasn't enough, though, because Lily wants more lesbian experiences with Robin throughout the entire rest of the series.
Mm-hmm.
Robin doesn't seem like she's actually as into it as much as Lily is, but I just think that's funny. Like, this is where it starts. Like, we had, like, the thing, like, where Barney accidentally brushes by Lily's boobs in the limo, and then that's where it starts.
Yep.
This is where it starts for Lily, and she becomes obsessed with Robin for the rest of the series.
Mm-hmm. So outside, the security guards are telling Barney, Ted, and Marshall that they could have them arrested.
Yes.
It's very serious.
So Marshall asks if he can go back inside to hear one last song. He doesn't really need to. Because
sure, of course.
Yeah, right. Like, after we just told you that the turtle costume cost $5,000, etc., etc. He doesn't even need to be in there. It's only important that Lily hears the band play their song. That was the whole point of getting them here, is that Lily likes the band.
Yeah, Marshall was never supposed to be there.
Right, yeah. That was never the part of the plan.
Yeah. But Barney does something drastic. He grabs the mascot head and runs off, causing the security guards to chase him, leaving the doorway completely unprotected. Ted and Marshall walk right in.
It's another one of those NPH runs.
Yes.
He looks like a cartoon character.
Yes.
It's like super exaggerated. Lily and Marshall get to dance to their song, and Ted convinces Robin to dance with him. I think she has prom goggles.
Convincing him, he gave her a little shrug.
Yeah, he didn't have to do very much convincing. That's what I mean. She's got prom goggles.
Yeah.
Like, she wants to dance. She wants to have the whole prom experience. Possible that her date got kicked out because his buddy, broke out nunchucks and started hitting a guy.
And he threw up.
And he threw up. So if they think you're drunk, they'll probably send you home.
Wonder if both their dates got kicked out. One for fighting, one for drinking. Why are they still there?
Right. Now they're perma allowed in the prom
grandfathered
because they got in the one time. But yeah, like you're right. Like Ted gives her a shrug, like meh, and she's like, okay, yeah. She's like, but like I said, she wants the whole prom experience, and she really has not gotten it.
Yeah. As they're dancing, she says that she missed him, not in a "we're gonna make out" way, not even in a "I forgive you" way, just in a "I've missed you" way.
And I thought about this actually since we just watched the episode. I think that it's like that's literally it. She misses him. She's not forgiven him because she's still pretty upset about the whole thing. But like Ted is becoming her best friend, arguably more than Lily. Even like he's the one that she called when she was feeling down, and she wasn't calling him over for like a booty call. She just because like she thought he had a girlfriend at that point. She just wanted her best friend there. She hasn't said it yet, but I think Ted is like her best friend.
I could put myself in Robin's shoes. It makes sense to look at Ted and see this wonderful guy who's been your friend, who's been around, who's very kind and nice, and also the face that lied to you and tried to sleep with you.
Yeah.
So it's conflicting emotions right away, just looking at him.
So outside, Barney is teaching the schlubs how to live. He's telling them that they don't get their money's worth wearing jeans to a strip club. That one always stuck with me. I don't care for strip clubs, but if I did go to them, I think I'd have to wear sweatpants, like Barney suggests, or like a really thin, like material pants, like a suit pant. But like some of those, like especially the ones that you rent, are really thin. So like you brush up against something and you feel everything. That's what you'd want to wear if you're going to a strip club. Just saying. Again, totally don't do that. But Andrew's taking notes.
Yes.
Like he thinks that this stuff is important.
I like that he is teaching people how to live. In season 9, he'll do the same thing, and it's sort of a next generation sort of way. So inside the prom, Marshall and Lily continue to dance and hold each other, and Marshall says, "Just 2 months, baby doll."
Right. And the camera holds on Lily's face. And I want to comment on this because, in my opinion, she gives no expression. I think the writers or director, maybe Pam, didn't want to tell the audience how to feel, or how Lily is feeling, or both. She doesn't have like this expression like, "Oh, 2 months, I'm super scared," or 2 months, like, "I feel okay now after Robin's pep talk." Like, you can't tell how she feels. And so that leads us into the next episode, not having a clue where Lily stands.
We did say there wasn't many strong performances in this episode, but that scene, I think, relied heavily on Allison being able to portray conflicted and not tip her hat to, "I've already decided to leave," or "I've already decided to commit." So that's it for this episode. Next, we will learn more about Lily's concerns.
And as she deals with her inner conflict.
There were guest stars in this episode. Besides David Burka, none of them come back, and I don't think any of them are really all that memorable.
No, I do want to throw out, though, that I swear I recognize some of the prom goers from 2006 being at the same prom in 1996.
Yes.
So keep an eye for that if you watch the episode after this. I thought that was funny. But no, I feel like all of the other guest stars, though, I'm very proud of you, rather inconsequential to the story. So We'll just move on to some other things.
Sorry, keep auditioning.
You were talking about the Barney cough thing, where he says the thing and then coughs. He does that later.
We should say that's the first time he's done that.
Barney teaching 2 younger guys how to live. We've also seen in Sunrise in season 9. And there's a sort of parallel there that you don't get like when he's teaching Ted how to live. Like when he's doing that, that's kind of solo. It's him and his pet project. But there's something interesting about like him teaching a pair. Like he's almost teaching like, all right, you will have to be the new Barney, and you are going to have to be the new Ted.
That's definitely the way it felt in the season 9 episodes with those 2 guys. It definitely felt like, I'm getting married tomorrow, so you two are the next generation Ted and Barney.
And we get to see a little bit of that, I think, here. Although he wasn't planning on giving up the game. I think he was just taking an opportunity to pass on some information.
Yeah. We should just mention also the first time we hear Van Smoot as like this destination vacation place venue. But later, Van Smoot keeps being used as like the name of any sort of high-class New York club that they're not a part of. Let's talk a little bit about Scooter, David Burka, the only memorable guest star, of course, known as Neil's husband. I like David Burka, and it's kind of a shame that he doesn't get as much work as Neil. I only say that because I will only admit here once that I saw a Oprah interview with David and Neil, and it was very clear from this interview that David's a little sad inside that his partner's a big star and he's not quite as much. He's more of the stay-at-home dad type.
I like the Scooter character, and I like David's performance of it. I also like that throughout the series, like he does stay continually obsessed with Lily, but he does eventually get something resembling happiness that might just be like a psychologist's nightmare, where he ends up with stripper Lily, and they work at the kitchen at Lily's school, and they serve sloppy joes.
It's good.
But so he ends up with a woman that looks like the woman that he wants to be with.
Good for him.
Yeah. I call that a win.
Yeah. Some good music. The 88 is a pretty decent band, a real actual band. The Violent Femmes are a real actual band.
They are. I do not know that song other than like the Just a Little Long.
Character motivations. I kind of still feel like it's kind of light in character, but Ted did have that I'm a good fighter sort of character turn.
Yeah, he wants to have a guy's night with Marshall. That's the only thing that I felt he was motivated by in this episode. He wanted to have the guy's night with Marshall and or spend some time with Robin that isn't uncomfortable. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Kind of wants things to be okay. That's why I like that shrug. Because he's like, I'm still sorry. I'm like, I don't know what else to do. I can't apologize anymore. Or I can, but, how long?
Yeah. Robin, meanwhile, is being supportive of Lily's wedding, trying to reassure Lily that Marshall is the fulfillment of her dreams. And also, she's sort of getting her fantasy prom.
Yeah, she was really excited about the prom. She's excited about the dresses, the corsage, the dance, and all that, because she was raised as a boy. So Lily, freaking out about the upcoming wedding. Talk about that. That's pretty much all she does in the episode.
Can we call it a Lily episode?
Yeah, actually, because we get a lot of background for her, too. So I feel like that would be pretty fair.
Marshall is excited about getting Van Smoot and also booking the 88. So he's really kind of laid back.
I don't know. He seems like really excited in this episode because he's really we have to get the Van Smoot house and we have to book the 88. And I'm so excited to get married to you in 2 months. And it doesn't even enter his mind for a second that could cause Lily stress. And he's just like, well, how can I solve the problem? Or there isn't a problem. And isn't this just so great? Doing it in 2 months instead of when we were originally planning it is better.
Yeah.
He doesn't even think about it.
Maybe he's not laid back, but he's definitely not conflicted the way we see Lily.
Yeah, definitely not conflicted. Barney,
scheming to get into the prom. That's all he wants to do is run these plays, these cons, these scams, these flim-flams. These
bamboozles.
Bamboozles.
Yeah.
And then we get to the guest stars, the schlubs.
Yes.
They just want to get laid. And apparently one of them wants to fight a man much older than him.
It's like twice his size. Because Andrew's the short one.
Also a giant.
Yeah. It's like, what a terrible idea. I didn't like Marshall's, although he didn't have to call him Little Buddy. Because that's like, it's the kind of thing that makes a little buddy want to hit you even more. But other than that, I mean, Marshall's trying to tell him, like, look, I get it. It's prom, the adrenaline's flowing. Like, trying to give him an out before he gets whacked in the arm, which could, at least leave a nasty bruise, if not break his arm.
Yeah.
Nunchucks are serious business.
Yeah. So, Chris.
Yep.
Is there a life lesson in this episode?
There's something close to it. I'd say don't move up your wedding. Our friends Eric and Nicole, I'm going to give you guys a shout out. Congratulations.
Woohoo!
They just got married and everything went off without a hitch. Like it went perfectly. Part of that reason, probably, they didn't move the wedding up. They planned it far in advance.
7 years.
And it all worked out great.
Yeah. So that's it for this one, folks. What did you think about it? Tweet your angry thoughts at me at HIMYM_James.
And each week, James and I get so much out of discussing the episode. We really enjoy doing this, and we hope you enjoy it, and we hope you share it.
Join our Facebook group. That's facebook.com/groups/HIMYM Superfans. I know that's a lot of words, but you know most of them already. We will have wedding photos, and we would love to see your prom photos up there.
Yeah, if you like the show, the best way to help us out is to give us a 5-star rating on iTunes. I don't know if that's true, but please do it anyway.
Well, it does help us get discovered, and it raises our rankings. And most importantly, if you use that review space to write us about a silly mascot costume, I will get to read about it.
If you write about a mascot in your iTunes review, and we can find the costume, James will wear it. We'll put a picture of it on the Facebook group.
That's a promise. Asterisk.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I'm not actually promising that. That was mostly a joke.
Give us the 5 stars, because that really does help us out, as I said, with the discovery, getting our ranking up. More people find us.
So tell your friends about the show. Like us on Facebook. Like us on Reddit. Like us on iTunes. Hit that share button when we post an episode.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Woo! Going to prom, yeah. Going to prom.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
You're adults.